Welcome to Studio 88. My special guest, Woodrow James. Trying to get some followers, trying to get some subscribers to my page. So don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button. Let me know that you're alive. And at least I have some viewers just trying to get this viewership up. My man, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Glad to be here.
I was trying to get him to come in for the longest time. I boast a lot to everybody, and I say this all the time. I have the best matchmakers in the game. Period. Like you guys, you're an encyclopedia of knowledge. Alex likes the big fights. Together, the combination of the two, the good cop, the bad cop.
Talking about Alex Caporicci.
And
I think it's a team effort. I love taking credit for it because I'm that modest guy, but I think it's a hell of a team we make.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us too, you know that. But me and Alex have just, he's the good cop, I'm the bad cop.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, I don't think people realize how much actually goes into the fights. And the thing is you guys are the key component to this machine. And I don't think people really give the matchmakers their due. Even in the UFC, like, it's not Dana White going, I want these matches. I'm sure he has a bit of his input.
Well, it's got to be different. We have...
Is it different?
Well, do you remember we're in Ontario, right? Mm-hmm. So when it first became pro here, this is going to sound terrible, but it wasn't let's put together that guy for a second. That's going to be a great fight. No. Who can get their medicals? Who can sell tickets? Then, oh yeah, you guys can fight. Mm-hmm. It was who could get their medicals and who was popular because the price here is skyrocketed for everything, right? Compared to, but I don't know. We've learned a lot together as a team. Mm-hmm.
Well, the experience in the room with you guys, just when I talk to you guys on the phone, sometimes I'm lost because you guys just go down those holes where it's like, well, back in 2000, like Alex has been doing matchmaking fights since like 2003 and like the earlier days.
What was our first show? What date?
That was in 2013, October of 2013.
Okay.
That was the very first pro show. And then we should get Alex on the phone.
Yeah. Do you want to call?
Can you get Alex on the phone? Yeah. Let's get him on the phone.
I'm not saying maybe some people listened to the one interview where I was on here with you before, but first time I met you, I still remember that when we pulled up to the Agriplex and you were standing outside there in your smart car.
In a smart car.
And then we did the walkthrough and it was Robin, right? Robin, you mentioned
Yeah, so
Robin.
what had happened is we were going to matchmake the card ourselves. So we had zero idea about matchmaking. Like zero idea about promoting. I had done a couple small shows in the back of a gym. Liked the process of putting everything together, putting the fight card together, but it was, even TJ fought kickboxing for me. He was like 15 years old. I think he was with Mady at the time.
What'd you do, a smoker or somewhere?
It was just a smoker, but
Here in London?
Yep. In the back of Gold's Gym.
Like where the MMA gym was for a while.
So all it was 300 seats. You know those construction lights that are on the street? I had one of those on a chain up over the rafters, hanging over a cage that was on the ground. And then ring girls from Western University, pizza from Italian House Pizzeria. I went and bought probably 60 boxes of pizza and sold them for $5 a slice with a pop, and had like 10 fights, 10 like really good fights. Didn't film them, didn't do anything, didn't put anything into any production. It was just to watch some
That's
fights.
how you got into wanting to promote?
Yeah, and then I got approached by a couple of guys who were like, "Hey, well, let's do it, but we'll put money into it, and we'll let's do a professional MMA." At the time, I had zero idea of how to do a professional. I go, let me look into it. Let me see. I told them, let me look into it and see what it takes. I emailed the Ontario Athletic Commission at the time. It was Ken Hayashi. I shoot the email.
Don't do a show. You're going to lose money.
Well,
that's what he tells you in the interview.
Well, what he
Don't
said
come
was,
here.
He goes,
no, we can make money. This is it. We know what we're doing.
Well, I did. I went at it humbly.
But that's what you say to him. Yeah.
I didn't even say that to him. First thing he said, okay, we need to have a meeting. So I'm like, okay.
And it was in person.
It was in person. So I drove to Toronto after working like the night shift of my regular job. I woke up early, put on a suit, went to Toronto, didn't know what to expect. Out comes this man, Ken Hayashi. We shake hands. We go into a boardroom. It's on Yonge Street. It overlooks all like
So he has
all
a nice
Yonge Street.
office,
He's got a
what
really
you're saying.
nice office. We sit down and he was with a guy,
Richard
Hustwick,
Yeah,
who was
Richard's a great
like
guy.
his and he actually reached out to me after and kind of gave me some words of encouragement. But we'll get into that. But he goes, okay, this is what it takes to do a show. It's going to cost you $100,000. That's the first thing. He goes, prepare for $100,000. He goes, you're going to have to pay for this. He just started giving me all the shit stuff that comes with the business. People cancel, sponsors pull out, fighters don't make it to the gate. Like he spilled it out. And I only had half of what he was saying. I was deflated. I was like super deflated. I'm like, I'm not going to pull this off. I went home, a little notepad, a piece of pen and a paper, just started drawing. It started cost, venue, just put every cost full. I got to, I think it was about $70,000. And I went, okay, probably about 70 grand to do it. We could probably do it. Because the last thing,
packed that first place.
Yeah, the first one was
it
probably the
October,
biggest one,
right?
Ever.
At the Agriplex.
Yeah.
And we didn't even.
Chris Hordecki was the main event.
Yeah, Hordecki and Karkula versus Gross, co-main.
Yeah.
Remember he came out to Ghostbusters and the place just booed him. It was Karkula came out trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And Gross, he's mean.
Karkula was a weird character too. Like he was like,
I really thought Jesse won that fight. I
did too. I did too.
Whatever.
But they both got fight of the night for that though.
Did they?
They did. They got watches that night.
Remember we had Mike Markham was our announcer.
Mm-hmm. From North Carolina.
Yeah. Why didn't we ever
calling Alex right now? Got to get him on the phone because Alex is just same thing. He's a part of the journey too, right?
Alex.
Hello, boys.
Alex, my man. Okay, we're live, Alex. We're not live, but we're recording. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Woody's a bit low, which is rare.
Well, that's probably a good thing then.
Alex.
What's happening?
There we go. So, Alex, I was just kind of giving everybody a rundown of kind of how everything began, because to keep you up to speed, I speak very highly of both of you guys. Both of you guys are the matchmakers for all my events. The work couldn't be done without you guys. You guys are like the key components to this machine. If I didn't have you guys, I wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't even attempt doing a show.
I said it was all because of me, Alex, but he's saying it's a group effort.
Sounds about right.
But we're talking about the very first PFC and kind of how I met Hayashi. It was just a quick rundown, and he told us all the negative shit. So anyways, back to what I was saying, Alex, everyone is I came home, I saw the budget, and I said, okay, yeah, we think we could do it. The last thing Hayashi said to me was, if you can sell 2,000 seats, you should do it. As I walked out the door, I drove home deflated, thinking there's no way I could do it. Looked at the numbers, said, okay, I could probably do it. Then I went online. I said I needed a good matchmaker. So all I did was Google best matchmakers in Canada. When I did that, an article came up from Robin Black. And Robin Black had written an article. I don't know if it was for a fight magazine or something like that. And in the fight, anyways, in this article, he mentions a bunch of matchmakers, and one of the names was Alex Caporicci. So I shot Robin an email that I had found online. I said, "Hey, introduce myself. I want to do a professional show. Can you help me out?" He emailed me back. He goes, "I know I have the two perfect guys: Woodrow James, Alex Caporicci. I have the perfect guys. Let's all of us get on a conference call and talk about it." And then the first call, you were on the call, Robin was on the call, Alex was on the call. None of us knew each other. Nobody knew who each other were. It was a complete shot in the dark. And I said, I want to do a show. First thing Alex said to me is, do you have a lot of money? Like, do you have enough money to do it? Because because
the score we had already been done was already done, right, Alex? By then,
are we already? Yeah, I think by that point the score was already shut down by Sportsnet.
Because October 2013 was PFC 1. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how did you first hear about this, Alex, with Jamie? Like from your end?
You guys seem to have a better memory than I do, but I remember it was through Robin and then just getting a call out of the blue. So I don't remember exactly any of the details of it, but I remember talking to Jamie, and it's the same thing. It's like, okay, is this guy for real? Does he know what he's getting into? Because if you really look back at talking to Hayashi, you can't really say he was wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong. And that's the thing. He wasn't wrong. It is
way too blunt and honest.
Yeah. And the thing is I listened to him. I listened to you guys. All the advice that you guys had given me, I always listened to it. I took it like gospel. Maybe the odd time I went out on a limb and disagreed with what was said and got my way, and it still worked in its favor. And that was over. It was Hordecki, because at the time we're floating with that budget, and I think I was like, no, we have to put him on, but we were like everything was so tight, and we were like, we can't afford it.
Yeah, as soon as we thought London, I remember we all were writing down names to get. Hordecki was obviously one of the big ones. Grossy being the co-main event was huge. But wasn't there other London guys on the card too?
There was a ton of
Shannon Ludlow. Remember, she was a big crowd. There was a lot of people came.
Yep. Joel Paquette was the other.
Joel, yes.
Joel, when he fought, that was a
Chris Lee Byrne fought on that one.
No, he fought at the charity on the second one. Sorry.
Okay, and then Alex, you remember that? What other fights were on that card?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Gross, Pripolek, Cosenza.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a great fight too.
Wow, look at so long ago now.
That's in 13. I think they were all like six plus fighters. Like they had like 6 fights in. They weren't now where they're like 11 and plus. You know what I mean? A lot of these veterans that are in Ontario are like, they have a lot of fights. But this was back when they were French. Because remember, we even laughed about it because our budget for the fight card was so low back then. It's because all the top guys weren't making that top dollar yet. They were still like
on their way up.
They were on their way up, so we caught them. We caught them fresh. Randa Marcos was the other one.
Yeah,
she fought.
Malcolm fought Lloyd Reyes.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was a backstory at that time because Malcolm had just fought one of Lloyd's teammates in an amateur show in Michigan that I did. And they're right before they went pro. And after it was over, Lloyd was the other guy's coach and they got into some argument. And if you remember, I think Malcolm knocked him out, or was it it was knock him out, but afterwards was yelling at him. Yeah, the refs had to stop it. It was all kinds of drama, but
they were all under the same camp back then. It was a different gym back then, wasn't it?
Alex, what was the gym called? Bama,
that's what it was.
Okay, yeah.
Because it was Garth Watkins, Adam Asenza, Lloyd Reyes,
Jalbert,
and Paul Jabber. Yeah.
Oh, there was more. There was a bunch of amateur kids. Denny Ward,
Kara Kirsch.
No, that would have been RG's gym, right, Alex?
I'm not really sure. Who's she on there?
She was with Sergey. Remember, she used to help Sergey all the time.
That's right.
Yeah, because he's another one of the fighters that needs to be babies.
Whatever happened to Sergey?
I don't know.
Leg lock master.
He signed with TKO and then never fought again.
Yeah, I heard from him. I think for my birthday, he wished me happy birthday. It was the first time I heard from him in a while, but I think he's happy. It seems. I think he started. Did somebody say it was a moving business or something like that? And it seems
he was just a good dude. So close to the UFC.
Leg locks, man. That guy was leg locking.
Yeah, he ankle locked a guy.
Hard knocks
in Sarnia, Gerald Mearshard, who's in the UFC and very successful too. I remember that. So then PFC 2 would have been.
Oh wait, we're forgetting the everybody's favorite fight at PFC 1.
What?
The fight of the night.
I hate you.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot Woody fought on the first one too. And check this out. So not only did he matchmake the fight, he actually fought on the card. And I remember you said to me, "You're like, I don't care. I'll fight for free. I'll fight for nothing." I go, we have to put you down for a purse.
No. What happened was we sent Kyle Stevenson was the guy's name. We sent him a list of people. Who do you want to fight? And he goes, "I want to fight you, big boy," or something like that. And I'm like, "Really? Faza, we do my medicals? Yes. Okay. I'm fighting now too."
That's right. That's right. And because it was local versus local, which is why you're so fabulous at what you do. Because Woody always makes the local.
So that
fights.
was October. PFC 2 was when?
March. Right after. We jumped right into March.
Yeah, March 8th.
Yeah. Do you remember?
What was the date of the PFC
6th or 8th.
Wow.
6th or 8th. One of the two.
Of March?
Yeah, or 14th.
Yeah, the one the last we did before COVID.
The last one we did was March 8th.
9th, something like that.
I can't remember. That's terrible.
There's a poster right in front of us. It'll tell us March 8th.
There you go. March 8th.
6 years later, same day.
Stoners.
March 8th, 2014 was PFC 2 when it was still provincial.
And remember how many injuries we had?
A ton. Who headlined that card? Randa Marcos versus Linnell House.
Yeah, who she had beat Shannon the show before.
That's right.
And
they were both ranked number 1 in the country.
Losing at LFA.
Say that again? Sorry, I cut you off.
It was coming off a loss against Justine Kish at LFA.
That's right. Which she took last moment, and we were all like, "Oh,
fighting with the commission to get her unsuspended for the cut on her eye." Remember that?
Yeah.
Probably.
Was her eye or lip?
It was her eye, I think.
Yeah, 100% her eye because it bled in the locker room.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, people don't see this.
I watched that card, PFC 2, up in the stands with Ronson, Gross, like everybody from London that should have been on the card that was injured or I forget what reason. But I remember all sitting there around watching because co-main was what? The big fight.
Healy Ricci.
Yes.
That's right. What a great fight.
Ryan Healy won that fight. I like Alex Ricci, but I remember Healy won that and didn't get the win.
Yeah, Healy was a good guy.
Who else was on that card, Alex? Do you have it?
Misha Serkinov against Martin Desile.
Oh yeah.
Brian Jordan against.
The leg break.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, that was probably the most horrific thing I've ever seen at a show.
Well, just before we went on here, I was talking about the story, but around that time, Anderson Silva had just broke his leg against Chris Meidman, and he's on the ground screaming in pain. We all remember that clip, right, Alex? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this show was March. Fuchs breaks his leg. He's on the ground, and Graham Betts was the referee, and he's covering his head, looking at the referee like, "Hey, man, something's up with my leg." He's not screaming. And then afterwards, Faisal was like, "That was this break, even worse than what happened." And that proves how tough the guy is. I'm not a fan of Jeff Fuchs at all, but it proves how tough he is. He's just, he wanted to walk out of there. He's like, no, I'll walk out with my friends. They're like, no, you're going on the stretcher.
I was standing beside Robin Black. Robin was sitting and I was standing cage side, so I was doing my rounds around the cage. And then I saw him throw the kick against Bear Paw, who was just another gigantic human being. And then I heard the snap, crack. That's why I'm surprised the ref didn't hear it, because it echoed through the fucking arena.
It must have been the angle. Had to
and
be.
He stepped back, snapped again, and then Bear Paw pounced on him. Bang, 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 bang. Started hitting him, and his leg was dangling. You could see it wasn't like the bone didn't protrude, but you could tell it was obviously broken. And I started yelling, "I go, his leg is broken. His leg."
Is that link on YouTube?
Yeah. You can go to
Google that. Jeff
Provincial
Fuchs
Fighting Championships. If you leg break, you'll find it. It's
Jeff
on
Fuchs
YouTube.
versus Brian Jordan.
And it happened like within the first minute of the fight. They literally circled each other. I don't even think a punch was thrown. I think it was like a hard leg kick, crack, and his leg instantly broke. And the same thing, he didn't want to walk out of the cage. And like everyone was like, "No, you're not walking anywhere. Like you just broke your fucking leg in two spots." He had like poles and bars and all that shit all through his leg to kind of keep it all together. Didn't even think he was even going to recover from that, and he did, which is crazy.
Alex, do you know Jeff? Like other than that one card, because he did all the amateur fights after. So did you deal with him?
No, I never. I mean, I had a bit of a conversation with him at our last show or the one before that. But other than that, I never really sat down to talk to him. Mm-hmm. He was mostly, you guys would negotiate on his side because he knew you guys better, right? Anytime we won card.
I got a funny story I just want to share with you. So I did a show in Sarnia at the bar there. We did an amateur show. So he put a bunch of guys on the card. And what he does is he makes his own tickets and upsells them. Sells them to all his buddies. And I get to the event and all these people have their own tickets. I'm like, well, where's your tickets? And no, Jeff sold me these tickets and he upsold them and got people sneaking in the back. So me and Jeff don't get along. So I wanted to share that story that rented a bus out. So
did they get in or?
Eventually, yeah, they had to buy tickets. I don't know how it worked out, but yeah, they got in. I'm not saying he was ripping them off, but he was upselling my tickets for the same place.
So you know what's
go ahead.
Crazy about this show? I'm just looking at it like the fight card on our show. It was one of our smaller shows, most likely because of the injuries, and we didn't have any big names from London.
Yeah, the second one we got the injury wrath.
3, 4, 5 fighters on that card ended up in the UFC.
Oh wow!
And one is relatively close in Scott Hudson. So I mean, Randa is in the UFC. Ricci made it to the UFC. Misha's in the UFC. Kyle made it, and Kyle Pripolek and Kyle Nelson.
Oh, Kyle Nelson fought Alex Helkias.
That's right. Yeah. He was so easy to deal with, Kyle Nelson.
And Scott Hudson, I mean, a couple wins here and there, he might make it too.
Who'd he fight then? Oh, Joel Corbett, correct?
Yeah.
He upped his record to 2-2. How things change, huh?
Isn't that crazy? Time just flies. And then we went on a big hiatus for a while because we went on, not a hiatus, but we went on the amateur circuit.
No, we still had September. We did the Budweiser Gardens first.
Oh, yeah.
Then we did the hiatus.
That's right.
But one more thing, Kyle Nelson that was on our card. He used to fight amateur like all through Michigan. He would drive from Huntsville. Where's that? Past Toronto?
Yeah, it's far. Oh, I know it's Huntsville's far.
He would drive into Port Huron with his dad. No coaches, nothing. Someone else would corner him. He'd go fight and he'd win. Always. Back then, I'm not being negative, but he was an underdog in all those fights. Never lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the time that Kyle Nelson loses. And he just wouldn't lose.
Yeah. Beat so many good guys, even as an amateur, where he should have been getting paid. So happy to see him. Bummer his fight got canceled last night, but
it's shitty.
It'll probably work out.
Yeah, like I was saying, he's super easy to deal with. Like very professional. I remember at the hotel, which is where the real show is at, is the hotel. He was there with his mom and dad eating breakfast. He didn't party, didn't drink, wasn't doing it. It wasn't like being wild. Like we take over the hotel.
Was that the hotel lobby party night?
Yeah, usually they're always the hotel. party.
Prepelic fought that night too.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin Moran. Remember this, Alex? Let's tell this story. This is a great story. Kevin Moran. So the day after the fights, Kevin Moran fought Kyle Prepelic. Was a war. Kyle won the fight. I get a call in the morning from Alex at the hotel, and he says, "Hey, we have a small problem." I go, thinking the worst. Kevin missed his train. Was it train or bus?
Train. I don't know how that's a long trip to.
Yeah, we trained.
He came with Claveau.
Yeah. And
Desolé. And you said he missed his train. Nobody knows where he is. What do we do? And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, I'll come to the hotel. Drove to the hotel. Went to the front desk. I go, can you tell me what room Kevin Moran is in? She says, at this one, I go, can I get a card, a key to the room? I'm the promoter. It's basically my bill, right? So, yep, no problem. She gave me the card. I walk down. I meet Alex. I go, what do you think? He goes like, I don't know. Let's go see if he's in his room. We're just trying to track him down. Buzz the room. I open up the door. I go, Kevin. Nothing. Didn't hear anything. Looked into the bathroom. There was blood, puke, like shit, garbage. Like it looked like a death scene in like a Saw movie or something in the bathroom. I go and right away I thought, okay, my heart started thumping. I'm gonna find a dead body. That's just what this was going through my head. There's Kevin on the bed, his pants down. You see his underwear. He's in his underwear, but his pants are past his butt, so his butt is out, but he's in his underwear. Does that make sense? Yeah. And he's got this gigantic black eye. It's just like swollen, puke all over the bed. I looked at him. He's laying on his side in like the recovery position. I go, Kevin. And he goes, book him another night. Book him another. He's alive. That's a good thing. Like we can't talk to him now. And then
he celebrated a little too much.
Yeah, you weren't at the after party, Jamie. That's what
I never get to go
Alex,
to the after parties, man.
Remember him at the party? Feel free.
No, go ahead. I don't remember the details.
He was in the lobby because he barely speaks English. When him and Kyle fought, I don't remember where he got cut or because he got split open, but it was like 30 seconds to go in the fight. Kyle kicked his ass, but right at the end, he split him open. He had tons of stitches. Am I right?
Mm. Yeah, his whole head was bandaged. I have a picture of him. He's got a towel around his head. Yeah. And his blood's like pouring off his face.
And we hung out in the lobby all night. He was just drinking a 40 or a 60 pounder of vodka straight. That's all he had in his head. I remember that. I'm like, this guy's crazy. Yeah. Next day you tell me that story. I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. And then we put him on a bus the next day.
I don't think he party like Claveau and Desolé probably did. For them, that was a regular Saturday night.
Yeah.
So they were ready to wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, get on the train and go home, and they just left him there. It was
there was somebody that was supposed to come with them. Remember, we lost on that because the guy got arrested or something. One of the seconds.
Very possible.
You don't remember?
No, I don't know.
I don't remember, but it sounds, now that you say it, like it sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
Yeah, because we burned on a ticket because the guy he went to board and he got arrested like at the train station.
It's like it makes complete sense if you know that.
Who else was on that card, bro?
Let me see. Devin Murray. I wonder what happened to him. Dave Hale.
Who cares?
Dave Hale was on that card? That was the second one, or are we talking the second one?
Second one still.
Dave Hale was on the second one?
Yep.
Why don't I remember that? Who did he fight?
Devin Murray, one of Chad Elliott's guys.
No shit.
Yeah,
why
he was a wrestler because he was going to fight Gross the next show that I was helping with in Sarnia.
Yeah.
That was our main event, and he ended up pulling out, but because he beat Hale pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, second round.
And then he got choked out in the third one.
I remember Waterman versus Chris Watson too. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but
whatever happened to Watson? That guy had fucking dynamite in hands, bro. He's
Oh.
from Jocelyn's gym.
Because that fight was his last fight, and he was 5-1.
Who?
Devin Murray.
Yeah, he never fought again.
Because like you look at his Tapology account, it says he was supposed to fight Olivier Aubin-Mercier.
Who?
Then he was supposed to fight Kyle Prepolek on that show. And then he fought Hale, and then he was supposed to fight Jesse on our show. So he was ready. He was willing to fight some tough guys, and then just disappeared.
Was he though? Just kidding. Yeah, I never knew him at all. I think he was more a pure grappler.
Yeah, but still 5-1 in MMA. I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm not criticizing that. I'm just being.
you would think he would go. Like I could see like a really bad knockout or something against the Gross or whatever. Could say, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Kind of like that guy. I don't know the guy who just fought in the UFC and just kind of said this is just that I'm not going out for the third round.
Oh, Max last weekend.
Yeah. Who knows what happens to him? Hopefully he gets back up and wants to do it. But sometimes you just realize this isn't for you. Because it definitely isn't for me. So I could respect that.
Yeah. And number 3 would have been October the same year.
Yeah. Was that the first time you worked on the charity event?
Yeah. That was our first charity event.
Did you know Faisal before?
I met Faisal at during the first PFC.
Okay.
I saw this really tall doctor, and I didn't know who he was, and he came over to me and he said, "Hey, my son, I need to. My name is Faisal," and I said, "Oh, it's a pleasure to me," because I had heard so much about him already, because he had blindly been helping me out with getting the fighters' medicals for the show. So I had already known about him, and he goes, "I'd like to take you for dinner. I want to talk to you about some things." And I thought, "Oh shit! Like, am I in trouble?" Because he had been helping out with so many medicals, I wasn't really sure if he was mad about it or who knows, right? Because I didn't know. And then that's when we went for dinner, and he said, "Hey, like, I want to do a charity show, but I want to do a big one at Budweiser Gardens." It was a big. He wanted to make it a really big deal. He goes, "I want a big crowd like this. Let's." And then that was history, and we just became friends. And
you're on the committee and everything still too, right?
Yeah.
That's
so we had
charity.
we had October 26th planned at Budweiser Gardens for this year, and then unfortunately, the plug has been pulled because of fucking COVID-19. So we're all sitting in limbo. I don't even talk to you guys as much as I normally do, which is really weird. That's why it's really nice to have you guys on and catch up, talk fights.
I'd rather just say, okay, yeah, this is the day you guys can start running shows again. But at least you could just put in your mind, okay, this is the date. You start preparing. Now we're such in limbo that it's just we could run one by the end of the year. We might not even be able to run one until middle of next year. We have no clue. It's insane.
Well, as a fighter, how in the world can you go to the doctor and go, yeah, I need a CT scan, my blood test, a chest X-ray, and an MRI? Mm-hmm. Like right now, the way the hospitals are, they're backed up on so many appointments. Even
Faisal said, he's like, you know how hard it's going to be to just even get guys licensed.
I don't think they're busy. It's just that they just don't want that many people there. Unless it's really
talk into it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's really an emergency, you might as well they won't let you in.
Oh, exactly. Even if you had your own private doctor, you still have to go to the hospital to get all these tests, right?
Yeah.
So
they're taking calls from home.
You want to do it. That's the only way Faisal can help out the fighters, right?
So it was PFC 3 Showdown in the Downtown, Knockout Kidney Disease. What was our main event?
Jesse Ronson versus Dom O'Grady.
Oh, Dom O'Grady. I remember he was a friend of mine. I think that's why he was on the card. I got him from Michigan.
Yeah, King of the Cage champion, wasn't he?
He passed away.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Tell that story, bro.
I don't know how he passed away. I lost touch with him.
I thought I heard heart attack.
I never really looked into it, so I have no idea. He was a good dude. Probably had some. I don't know. He was a tough guy.
Well, he took that. He didn't make weight for that fight because his brother was murdered the week before the fight.
Oh my gosh, I do remember this
right?
now.
And then I remember having to go to Jesse Ronson's room.
Alex, you're cutting out. What'd you say, bud?
I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
I knew it. Dara specifically took you away from us.
Can you hear us now?
Alex?
Yeah, it's low though, but I can hear you. It's just hard to make out.
You'll see what's going on when you watch this video.
Yeah,
later.
when you watch it, and especially when we put the picture up of you in that big bright yellow shirt you have. Just kidding. Yeah. So, anyways, Dom's brother passed away, and the first time I met him, I walked into his hotel room. He was missing a tooth, like his tooth was out. He walked out of the showers with you, I believe. Was I with you or was it with Alex?
No, it would have been with me because I cut weight with him the night before because he was alone.
He was all by himself.
No corners came that night.
And the room was like 1,000 degrees. He came out in a towel, and he looked really sad. He looked really like... And he looked defeated already. And he's like, I can't get this weight off. He's just been distracted.
And Ronson was cool. I remember we dealt with that. And Ron's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because we said, can we do a catch weight? We had to change the contractor weight, so we had to deal with Hayashi, which was another thing, because it's not like you can't just change the contract the day before the weigh-ins. Like you had to go to the commission, you had to redo another belt proposal, you had to make it make sense, and he would want to know why there was a catch weight. You couldn't just say, because his brother died, which is what we did. We told the truth. We said his brother had passed away. He's just having a hard time making weight, and then. Yeah, he let it happen. Hayashi let it happen, and we went to Ronson's room, and then we were like, hey, he's not going to make the weight. Still take the fight at a catch weight, which I thought he was going to be pissed about, but he was actually he was really cool about it.
And co-main?
Jesse Gross and Justin James.
Oh, wow. Remember that?
Yeah.
Big fight last weekend. Justin James made his UFC debut and knocked it in 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Cue the Jesse Gross comeback.
That's right. Yeah, that was a good fight too. I remember he wanted to come out to Team America. Fuck yeah! Remember
America?
Yeah, fuck yeah! And we were like, no, you can't. It's a charity event. Like you can't. We were screening everybody's music.
And then he had I want to come out to Ghostbusters, and he didn't know that Karkula had already done it, so he thought he had this great idea because Jesse the Ghost Gross. So I'm like, no, we did that last show. He goes, oh really? So he came out to Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen.
That's right.
I talked to him and I'm like, the place will boo you, man. Go with it.
Did they boo him?
He was fighting Grossi in London. Yes, they booed him. For sure they booed him.
And they had fought 2 times before that, wasn't it?
Yeah, once amateur, August 1st, 2008.
Yeah.
It was the first ever event I worked at, Battle at the Border 1 in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
They were our co-main event. Then they fought King of the Cage as amateurs. And so Grossi won the first one. He was 0-1 and James had 30 fights.
Wow, he has that many
we just
fights.
knew Gross was the next, was a star, right? Then they fought King of the Cage, and James choked him out. And then as pros, they fought at this show.
Mm-hmm. No shit, eh?
I remember after the event, because Grossi won a decision, and we were walking up in the concourse. Alex, you might even have been with me. And his mom was there with him, screaming this, because they didn't like the judge's decision. I had Jesse winning, but if you go back and watch it, it could have been close. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she was screaming, you ruined your career, all this stuff. And now he's in the UFC, so proved that it didn't.
Yeah. He had a long grind, though, man. He never quit.
He had over 50 to 60 amateur fights before he even fought as a pro. So
yeah,
he's been at it a long time.
I think it just shows how good PFC is. Even losers on our events end up in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
What else was on that card?
Speaking of another guy who lost, who might eventually make it to the UFC, Randy Turner against Malcolm Gordon.
Oh yeah. Remember?
There was no camera.
We lost the footage.
Yeah, this footage got deleted. Correct.
It never got recorded. So that showed the production team. We started the fights, and it was supposed to be, and they had all these team of guys. I remember having to pay Budweiser Gardens extra because if you do a show at a union shop, you have to pay for their staffing as well. So if I bring, say, 3 camera crew, it can't take work from the venue, so the venue has to mirror image whatever workers you bring in, and so you got to pay. So if I bring Dara and he's doing videos, they got to shadow him with somebody else, and basically they walk around and they'll dangle a cord. You give him work to do. You got to give him something to do, and you're paying him like $25 an hour. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, I forgot what I was going with. Oh yeah. So I had all these crews doing the videos, and nobody recorded the fights. So Malcolm Gordon at the time had just got the call to the UFC because I remember, I think it was
he was on the short list to go.
Yeah, and it was like a week before the fights, 2 weeks before the fight, and then he had got the call, and then they said, okay, well, if you win the next fight, well, I mean, this is hearsay. I don't know how much of this is.
He had just beat Chris Kalades, who ended up going to the UFC, I think, a few months before. Yeah. So this was just one more win and you're in.
Yeah, and then and it was all good. I remember calling him and congratulating him. That's how.
Yeah, Malcolm was. I remember this. He was. Everybody thought it was a done deal. Malcolm was fighting last minute in the UFC in Halifax.
That's right.
And he had just beat Kalades.
He had just beat Kalades. And then I think Kalades, I could try to check, but he fought another fight afterwards. And then they ended up giving that spot to him, even though Malcolm beat him.
Because he was pure local.
Mm-hmm. Which goes to show the Big Show even follows the formula of local talent.
Yeah, he had beaten Kalades, went on to beat Adrian Woolley. And then he won in the UFC against Paddy Holohan. Or Holohan?
Yeah, that was, and he got fight of the night, his very first. Yeah. He took the fight on a week notice, and a week later he's got like 50 or 60 grand. Sorry, what were you saying?
Malcolm was supposed to get that spot, and then they switched it. They decided to go with the local guy because they had nobody from Halifax on the UFC show.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why the camera thing popped right in my head is because Turner ended up beating Malcolm,
right?
Grinding him out or knocked him out, I think.
Yeah,
was it a TKO?
It was a TKO.
And then we need a copy of the footage. The UFC is going to sign Randy Turner.
Yeah, because
the coaches from the other gym, they didn't believe us that we were hiding the footage like Malcolm was our guy or something.
Yeah, that's funny.
I remember getting calls.
In fact, I sent the whole hard drive to
because it said error on it.
Yeah, so. They said they recorded the fights, but there was something happened with the footage. It was corrupted or something.
The data got corrupted. Yeah, I remember you. Me too. I tried.
Yeah, so we sent it to Montreal, sent it to Ottawa, sent all this footage across the friggin' provinces just to try to get the full footage of the fight, and even went to the Canadian military because Randy Turner was a military man, and they couldn't get it off the thing. And luckily, Chad Elliott had brought a guy.
Trevor Airdrie, wasn't it?
No, it was Jonathan Brownlee. Some guy. He goes, this guy just wants to film the fights and do just take a couple clips or whatever. So I said, yeah, no problem. So and I put him cage side. So luckily enough that all the fights from that show were all done by cage side. So he had the whole show
camcorder
but on like a really high definition camcorder. So it didn't look that bad. It just wasn't.
Would the fights be on YouTube or where would you see them?
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still find it. If you go to Provincial Fighting Championships, the original PFC, all the fights are there.
Okay.
For the 3 events that were done at the time.
And crazy enough, that was the last win that Randy ever got in MMA.
No shit.
How many times did he fight after?
4 times. Austin Ryan, Corey Gower, Chad Annelinger.
Yeah, he's
Dustin Basra.
Yeah, he's a guy who's on a huge streak, I think, right?
And then Malcolm went on a tear, didn't he?
Yeah, Malcolm's still fighting.
Yeah.
Randy is one of those guys that I wish had gotten to that next level. He was one of the nicer guys you can ever deal with.
I remember he was 5 pounds overweight for the weigh-ins, and I remember walking into his room, and it was him, Pat, and Nick Castiglia, and he was 5 pounds heavy. They came down to, it was like an hour before the weigh-in. Did he miss weight and then come back to the scale? I can't remember. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah. This is all, I don't remember this.
These are my memories here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an hour before he was supposed to make weight or he got an hour. He missed weight. He missed weight by 4 pounds. And he said he'd been struggling all night trying to cut the weight. Hayashi gave him an hour, and the look on his face was, you can tell he was doing it no matter what. Like he could have just went, maybe it wasn't 4 pounds, maybe it was less, maybe it was like 3 pounds or something.
And he made weight though.
Yeah. He went back to his room, came back like 45 minutes later under the weight that he should have been, but he was like, you could tell like something lit inside him. Like he was at a point where he couldn't cut anymore, and he's like, okay, I'm doing it no matter what. Like the determination in his face, you can tell like that military will to win.
And he was even a high level military guy. It's like like some of the highest level in all of Canada, right?
Yeah.
He would be the equivalent of SEAL Team Canada.
Oh no shit! I didn't know that about him.
Yeah. There's more. Cool. There's more to that, but I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about.
All right, he'd have to hunt you down and kill you.
Yeah.
He was a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. I remember.
Sorry.
We did an event with him, and he won the contest, most tickets sold or whatever, and we ended up in Vegas to watch Hollis Gracie fight. We all went down there to watch him fight, and Randy just never had such a good time. Except I barely knew him, but that's when you got to know the guy, and he was like one of the funnest, nicest guys you could meet. Very professional, but when it came to actually fighting, he was serious and ready to go.
Yeah, you can see that in his face.
It's just the way he is. Like, you have a different personality that none of us can really. To be a soldier is a whole different thing, right? Mm-hmm. None of us can pull that off.
A walk to the cage for him is not stressful like other people. No. He's been in pretty stressful situations.
Bullets zipping by your head and bombs going off behind you. Yeah.
What else? Who else was on that card?
The next fight was Kyle Prepolek and Damian Hill.
Oh, the boxer, Damian Hill. He went out to
Minnesota.
Yeah.
He missed weight by like 0.2 and took the 20% purse deduction. I remember. I'm like, that's 0.2, man. That's like a poop or something. He's like, he's like, fuck it, I don't care. Whatever. I'm here to fight.
He pulled a Perry, came down with no corner.
He pulled a what?
Mike Perry.
Oh.
He didn't bring his girlfriend, but he didn't have a real corner either.
And Joey Holt. I think they all worked together, didn't they? For the show, they cornered each other or no?
Maybe. I think, or was it Lachlan that cornered Damian Hill?
Yeah, I don't remember at all.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it was Lachlan. Joey had his guys because he's from, that's the other fight, Joey Holt and Adam Senza. That was a fight we weren't expecting.
I could be wrong, but didn't Damian Hill and Holt both fill in last minute for whoever they were both supposed to fight?
They seem to all be, but this was another chaotic last minute trying to figure out guys and get their medicals done.
There was a time where I wasn't allowed to be in the back and dealing with that stuff with you, even though I was working with you. I don't know if you guys remember at the PFC 3. So I didn't get to deal with any of the last minute changes on that one. I was a spectator in the crowd.
Because Kyle was supposed to fight Tony Hervey.
You're right.
I'm only basing that because Tapology tells me. I don't remember this. And Adam Senza was supposed to fight Remy Boussière.
He's a Quebec guy, right?
One of Yannick Bergeron's. He was anyway. I don't know if he's still fighting.
And Yannick Bergeron's the guy. He just brought a girl, Claudia, right?
Claudia Burrell.
Yeah.
Off.
Mm-hmm.
He's another good coach to deal with. It's unfortunate he's so far for us in Ontario, but.
So okay, now, just off topic a tiny little bit, not talking fights. Yeah. You guys as matchmakers, when you guys go to work, what's the first thing that you guys do? You're like, we're doing a main event, and then you're like, okay, do we just start contacting every gym? Like
at this point, I think between me and Woody, we know all the fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know the guys, especially with recently, you guys know all the amateur fighters that are coming up. So it's not like we go to, like back in the day, I would go to the coach and say, who do you have ready? Because there was no amateur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now with the amateurs, you're saying, you guys know, okay, in London, this is where these guys train. You know all the gyms, you know all the fighters, and you know who sells tickets. So it's more of, okay, where are we doing the show? Who's going to sell us tickets? And now let's build the card around that.
Mm-hmm.
You agree, Woody?
Yep. Yeah, things are different from when the very first pro shows to the last pro shows, right, in Ontario.
Yeah. So we had a revision of the company. So everything changed after that third provincial fighting championships. It was just too costly to do the money. The business partners I had at the time said they weren't interested in playing. We don't do this sport because we're doing it to make money. We obviously want to try to make money, but it's not a money-making adventure. We can all agree to that, right?
Yeah.
Like every time we have the same conversations every time we're about to do a show. We're fucking crazy. What's the matter with you?
That's right.
Right? And why
didn't I listen to Ken?
Yeah, and we still go down the same hole. Why? Why are we doing that?
Yeah. Like, the hardest part, you could do everything right and still not make a bunch of money.
Right, and that's
right.
Right.
So when that show was over, we took a hiatus because amateur became decriminalized in Ontario. So we ran.
Kind of.
Well, it was decriminalized.
Kind of. It wasn't
legal.
A blind eye was turned to it, basically.
So, but that's how so many guys. How many amateur shows is PFC?
13 or something like that. 10 or 13.
No,
10 of them?
because
9 of them. 9 or 10 of them.
9 or 10 amateur show fights.
But like 15 and 16 fights per card. So it wasn't like it was a 10-fight card. Like when you matched all the amateur stuff, and then we had like 15, 16 fights. I remember going to show. I remember being at one of the PFCs at Music Hall, going, fuck, I just want to go home. This is a long fucking day. Like it was like fight. It was fight. And luckily, like the first 6 fights or something were all like first round finishes. So we got to cycle through with them. But imagine 16 fights all going to a decision. Yeah, that's too much. It'd be just too. It's just too much.
So then, when was the first pro fights we came back? Last year?
Last year was Windsor in June.
In June.
Yeah. And that was kind of like a little bit of a perfect storm. And that was like pulling Alex out of retirement. The amateur had stuff that are dried up already. So we long story short, didn't get as far as we did wanted to go with the government on the amateur stuff. Everybody got kind of held at a standstill. And then...
Well, how did you come out of retirement, Alex? How did it work for you?
So basically, I hadn't seen you guys in a while because I wasn't involved with the amateur scene. I mean, I still talk to you guys every once in a while, but it's everybody involved in MMA knows that it's all encompassing. It's like it becomes everything you talk about is fights happening. So it's not, when I didn't want to have anything to do with it, we really didn't have much to talk about. So It was just not that we were less friends. We didn't like each other. It's just like, you're worried about this, your show coming next week. And I'm like, not to be mean, I did not care. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, okay, yeah, have fun. I don't to be honest, I don't think I saw any of your amateur shows.
For those listening, Alex is in Montreal. That's why.
Yeah. That's why he's called in.
So, it'd been a while. I missed you guys. Woody was fighting at BTC, right?
Yeah.
So I said, Woody's fighting.
You came to see TJ and Kyle, don't lie.
No, I came to see you, but also Reno had 2 guys fighting on the card, TJ Laramie and at the time Kyle Prepolek. And I said, you know what? Hopefully Jamie can make it over. We'll have a little bit of a reunion. I'll say, hey guys, how you doing? I said, I'll just come for the weekend, enjoy my time, have a good time, and see the boys again. Hopefully, watch Woody get a win.
So you're saying me getting my ass kicked got you back into the game? It's very odd.
I
told you I'd take one for the team.
I was tricked by Jamie and Reno.
Yeah, we tricked them.
When all of a sudden they drive me to a venue and say, hey, man, wouldn't it be great to run a show in here? I'm like, oh, boy, here we go.
That's right. Oh, we went and toured the St. Denis Center.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, oh, no, these guys are bringing it. And it's just like, we don't, like Jamie said, we never did this for money, right?
Well, I mean, you always hope that it does.
A little switch. Like I was, like Godfather 3. I thought I was out, but you pulled me back in.
Yeah.
It's just all of a sudden you're looking and you're like, oh, shit, what could we do here? And you just get that feeling in your stomach of like, oh, man, yeah, we could do something special. To be honest, I was only going to do one show. Like because I don't want to get into the details, but I did not like the way, after working on something for 10 years and maybe not getting to the level you wanted to, right? My last show was an awful way to make it my last show. So
Alex, just real quick, let's run you back for a second for people that may not know the history of your matchmaking resume. When did you start doing matchmaking?
Matchmaking or MMA in general?
Both.
So I went to it was UCC, which eventually became TKO event at the time. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't even know it existed in Montreal. I was always a fan. I would watch, Pride and UFC on pay-per-view. And I said, let me watch the local scene. And I actually went to cover it as a journalist. I was giving live results to MMA Weekly. Then something clicked and like, wow, okay, I got to get involved. So I was more on the media side with MMA Weekly. Like I worked with Ryan Bennett. He took it over, but it was our idea to do a daily MMA talk show when that was unheard of back then, right? So this was probably 2002, maybe. Mm-hmm. Then eventually from that, I went to TKO with my brother, and we met up with his friend, like his best friend growing up, who ended up moving to Toronto. And he at the time was sponsoring Mark Hominick, who was the TKO champ, and all the guys from London and a few guys from Toronto. And he goes, I'm investing in a TKO, and why don't you guys come on board? We could all work on it together. He ended up not doing it, but me and my brother did. So we invested in TKO, and eventually, whatever, we had the conflict. It didn't work out the way we saw it. So in 2004, we started our own promotion. So that was Apex Championship Fighting. First event, September 5th, I think, 2004.
Wow.
And then from that, I matchmaked our shows, probably lost every dollar I've ever made in my life. And then again, that was my first retirement. But then I came back to work for W1, Rec MMA, Ringside.
And that's when we met.
Yeah.
John Fraser was fighting Jeff Harrison at W1. And Alex doesn't remember meeting me, but we hung out all weekend.
I kind of remember.
That's why I met you and Robin. That would have been Oaks.
That was I came to that show as a fan, I think, right?
08, 09? No, that was a different one.
Oh, okay. I remember you being there and Florin. That's my two, because there wasn't too many people there in the first place. It felt a lot like
100 people there, and the whole card was stacked with like former UFC vets. It was a W1 show they did in Montreal. Mm-hmm. One Quebec guy in the whole card. He's in the UFC now. What was his name?
Trying to think.
Nordine Taleb. He was like on the undercard. The whole card was English-speaking guys in Montreal. It was like Shoney Carter, Joe Dirksen, John Alessio. Clements fought Alessio then. And it was all 100 people in this venue. And me and Alex were on the floor like cage side.
Oh, shit, eh?
Sounds like I'm trashing that, but it was a terrible idea to go to a French-speaking community with all English fighters that don't sell tickets.
So that was a valuable lesson of using local talent.
Yeah, but neither of us were working on that show, right? Because I had already left W1 at the time.
Yeah, I was just there with John.
Yeah. So we had done some really, with W1, Jack Bateman, we had done some really successful shows in Ottawa.
Those are the ugliest yellow hats I've ever seen, though. I know if you fought there, it's probably a cool trophy, but he used to make you put a hat on after he'd come up to you when you're getting your arm raised. A yellow hat that said W1. It's a good idea because you remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's the plan for PFC in 2021.
PFC has put this hat on. That's hilarious.
Just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, we did Carlos Newton against Shoney Carter. We had some really, but we targeted. I mean, we almost sold out the Robert Guertin Arena with Nabil against Carlos Newton. That was, I'm trying to think, but had to be the biggest main event, in that region.
Carlos Newton.
Who won?
Carlos. Yeah,
former UFC champion.
Yeah, it was really one-sided.
Was that after UFC or before UFC? His UFC
would have been after.
It was after.
Yeah.
And then PFC last year, I remember the main event causing years off your lives, guys. You guys have lost years off your lives just because of that main event.
And here's the thing, and this is what I want to explain to people as well too. You guys have the ability to pull shit out of your fucking hat last minute all the time.
This is all Alex, this one.
Like this. So tell us what happened in the main event week before the fight. Was it a week before the fight?
Oh, yeah. The initial main event was TJ Laramie against the newly signed TJ Laramie against, what was the guy's name? Oh, wow.
No.
Josh Roller.
Okay, yep.
That's right.
So it was a perfect scenario for us. I mean, now TJ won his fight, so we could be a little bit more honest. After his last Alex Morgan fight, TJ probably didn't have the best confidence in the world. He needed to rebuild his confidence. So this fight we thought was perfect for him because it was a guy with a legit record, good style, somewhat local, would be willing to come and fight. TJ should beat this guy, but he'll give him a good challenge, right? So I think he got injured the Tuesday before the event on Saturday. I got an email for him while playing softball saying, my knee is hurt, I can't fight, I'm sorry, I'm out. And then we're like, oh my God, we just lost our main event. Because it technically wasn't even supposed to be our main event, I think, initially.
Hey, Alex, I told Dar all about your softball draft and everything already.
So
was Kyle supposed to be on this card? Kyle Prepolek?
Yeah, but he got signed. Remember?
No,
Yeah, we would have lost 2 of our biggest tickets.
Yeah, Kyle was the original main event.
So what happened was he got hurt on the Tuesday, and the fight was even a Friday, or was it a Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay.
It was a Saturday.
So that's pushing it with the commission right there.
Yeah, and the whole next day I knew I was traveling to Windsor. So this was already like 9 p.m. on Tuesday, going to Windsor the next day. So it's hard to email and call and whatever while you're, going from flight to flight. And I think I was even delayed a lot. So it was just nothing was happening. So I was just messaging, and I'm sure you were doing the same thing. Everybody I knew saying, you have somebody who would take it last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not easy. And last minute, everybody wants that extra win bonus money. Like, oh, okay, I'll do it, but it's going to cost you.
We were getting guys from anywhere from, there was a few guys who said they would do it, but they would only fight at 155. There were some guys who were killers. They were like, there was a guy with like 20-3. He was willing to do it if we paid him like a crazy amount of money. And you got to give credit to their camp. They were Reno and the coaches and TJ were ready to fight. Anyway. TJ needed to fight.
Mm-hmm. And he fought James Dunn.
Actually, I had given up hope. I just said, you know what? We messaged everybody, tried to work every angle we had, went to every contact we had, and nobody was biting. At that point, if it wasn't TJ and if it wasn't the main event and it wasn't Windsor, we would have given up a long time before. Then all of a sudden, I just randomly text a guy that I barely knew, who seemed like a nice enough guy. He said, oh, I got guys in Chicago. If you ever need, let me know. Is that
Herc?
Yeah. And he just replied like, yeah, my God, I'll take it. I just called him. I'm like, oh my God, okay, we might have something. Then the wheels are in motion. So I think James Dunn, what he did was he said he's in. We gave him the money he wanted, which was for a 2-2 fighter was way more than
record 2-2, 2 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah. I don't even remember what we paid him. It might have been 2-2.
I think it was even more.
Yeah, it was more.
Yeah. But anyway, so he basically drove to a clinic.
The day he got the call.
So this was Thursday. Drove to a clinic, got his blood work, drove to somewhere. We needed to find a place to do it. We eventually find a place, got his CT scan done, drove home, packed, then drove to the airport. Came in for the weigh-ins.
And then and that's the funny thing.
Did he fly into Detroit or into Windsor?
He flew into Detroit. We sent
Chicago to Detroit's probably quick.
A limo to pick him up in Detroit.
A limo?
Yeah.
No, that's part of the limo, was it?
Yeah, I think we sent him a limo.
Okay, but it wasn't the one that crashed, right?
No. Oh yeah, we had a limo breakdown on the bridge, on the Ambassador Bridge.
That was for Junior.
That's right. Okay, no, so he didn't. We either sent a limo or it was Tracy's boyfriend went and picked him up.
Yeah, I think Kevin went to pick him up.
That's right. Kevin went and picked him up.
He bonded with them.
And then the request was, I need Epsom salts, distilled water. Like he had this thing, is there a Shoppers Drug Mart? Not a Shoppers Drug Mart.
Cutting weight.
But he was cutting weight. And basically he basically did everything like 2 days prior. So he cut all this weight, bang, 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 and we took him the day of the weightings to go do his eyes.
Yeah.
WXC had him signed a month later, something, and that's a show in Detroit that I've worked with some of my other guys, and he sends me a message out of nowhere. You just took my guy for my card, all mad at us. We didn't know he was signed. James Dunn obviously didn't tell us. He just took our fight.
Yeah.
Oh, that I've never been allowed back into WXC. None of my guys don't even answer my calls now because Alex took his fight.
So is Alex.
Yeah,
so go Alex.
If I knew he had signed somewhere else, I would still steal the fight.
Yeah.
How badly we needed.
Windsor, our main event, 2 days notice. I believe he fights at 135 and was fighting a little bit heavier. That was a blessing for us.
Yeah.
He was confident he was going to win that fight.
Oh, sure he was, man. I went and had steaks with him the night before the fight. Because he was there with Herc, who...
Yeah. Also in his contract, steak dinner with the promoter.
Steak dinner with the nice. Yeah, we took him for steaks.
You got a steak ever from this guy, Alex?
Yeah, you must. Yes, you have.
Lies. No, I think I bought him a steak.
Yeah, that's right. You probably did.
I mean, who knows how it turned out in the end, but the crowd was going crazy. We had a lot of, give credit where credit is due. Manny Alfaro and Randy Field sold a ton of tickets.
Yeah.
So did all of Reno's gym. MPC.
Was Manny the co-main?
He ended up being the co-main. So that was I love Manny, don't get me wrong, but he was 4-3. We didn't really want him as the main event. It just would have looked unprofessional as, if we want to be, the top show in Canada, it needs to look like the top show in Canada, right?
That's the one where he got kicked in the balls, I think, in round 2 and couldn't continue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Adam, what was his last name?
McDougall,
yeah. Halifax or Nova Scotia, somewhere out that way. Great guy.
He'll be back with us at some point, I think.
No, he signed with TKO. Just kidding. Just kidding. So Manny fought him. Randy fought Ray Borg from the UFC. His wife was posting online looking for fights. And
you lined that fight up.
Well, me and Alex both actually were commenting on the same thing. Same with guys from other events. BTC, Rob Beavers was like chirping us like, no, we need her. Because I think they had a show right at the same time.
Yeah.
And we got her approved. And if you know, Ray Borg was the one when Conor McGregor threw the dolly through the window. He was one of the guys who got cut in the eye, missed a fight. And he had a really sick child at one point too, pulled out of a fight. So he had the worst luck in the world. Mm-hmm. She was 0-3, still wanting to travel to Canada just to fight. They were the easiest people to deal with, from my experience. You guys can tell yours.
Oh, yeah.
But Ray Borg, I'm like one of diehard favorite fighters now. Like I love it because I met him. I know how he was. He was just a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
hopefully one day we could get. I think she has to fight at 105, Amanda.
Atom weight.
She's 0-4. I don't know.
She wants to fight again. That's for sure. I mean, we don't need to matchmake now on this podcast.
There's a pandemic.
There's a couple options where it could fit in with her.
Yeah. And there was
Junior Cortez.
Oh, Chucky Mady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a war.
Yeah, Junior guy's tough, man.
Alex brought Junior in.
Mm-hmm.
That was Junior's last fight still. He hasn't fought since.
Because look what he did. Nobody wants to fight that guy, or does he just have other things going
Matty
on?
Havorka wants to fight him.
Sorry about
Matty Havorka wants to fight him. You're right.
Matty Havorka is screaming for him, bro. Screaming for him. He was like, he messaged me 100 times.
Well, Havorka fought on that same card. We'll get to that. But
yeah,
Junior beat Chucky in, was it all stand up, a war? I can't remember. There was no ground, right?
Yeah. It was
pretty.
He
took him down once, but then just got back up.
Yeah, I'll give Chucky credit. Me and Chucky do not get along. I would be one of the first people to chirp him, but that was a great fight, and he kept taking beatings and throwing back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that fight.
Do you remember him when they tried to cross the border from the airport?
No.
No, they were on the limo.
Oh, yeah, the limo broke down on the Ambassador Bridge.
So they were stuck on the bridge for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
So this is a new guy trying to get involved with a promotion. I know his coach pretty well. He coaches a lot of UFC guys, Santino DeFranco. So they're like, oh, no problem. We'll deal with it. It's things happen. They're like, you know what? Don't worry about it. So after he wins his fight and he feels like a rock star in Windsor, right? We go grab a couple beers in downtown Windsor. We're walking through. People are stopping him in the street, which I've never seen on one of our events.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody seemed to know him walking down the street because I guess
he fought Chucky.
Not really, doesn't have. Some people may not like Chucky, so they're happy to see a guy beat him.
Yeah, Chucky sells a lot of tickets, popular and unpopular way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
people come to watch.
So finally, get a couple of beers into Junior, and he's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why did you leave me on a bridge for 3 hours? You got to get more professional people." He starts giving me. Now the polite fighter who's just looking for his next fight doesn't give a shit anymore. He's telling it as it is. I'm like, yeah, you're right, man. I'm sorry. What do you want from me?
Well, it was a company we worked with that broke down, or what happened?
Yeah. I hired a limo company to go pick them up, and as they were coming back from Detroit, it broke down right on the bridge.
Yeah,
at 11 at night.
For hours.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was like late at night, and I was like, fuck, they're stranded on the bridge. I think we sent another car for them, or did they want to?
But the car couldn't cross until they crossed the bridge.
Yeah. So there was nothing we can do, which is really shitty because obviously you want your visitors to have a great time with you.
But he was like, "So no, it's not a big deal," and he's just trying to be polite. But I don't care who you are; it's gonna piss you off.
Oh, fucking right, it's gonna piss you off. No, nothing worse than bringing a guy in and wanting him to perform at his best.
Hey guys, Well, we have a minute. Alex, will you do me a big favor? I want you to, if you already haven't, can you subscribe on your podcast to Studio 88? I'd like it if you liked and subscribed and to tell all your friends.
This is great.
Right.
Woody strongly suggests that you subscribe to the page because we're trying to get some viewership up. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, if we still have people listening at this point,
Yeah,
please.
people are bored with us at this point.
Yeah, probably.
On my way here, I had friends going, "Oh, Woody's going to say something stupid." Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Yet.
No, yet.
What else was on the card? Matt, we were talking about Matty Havorka.
Yeah. Matty Havorka and Matt Haskell. And I got a lot of backlash from that fight. And
Matty won by knockout about a minute in.
Yeah, and the next day I got an email, I think from one of his family members, and basically was like, "Oh, yeah, it's such a Mickey Mouse promotion. You don't know how to you hire shit referees.
Like we hire the refs."
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. He was blaming the referee because he didn't stop the fight quick enough. But I think the guy's email was his perception was that the referees work for me, like they're actually PFC staff members, which let's clear the air. If you don't know, you should know, but promotions have nothing to do with the officials. Referees, judges, timekeepers, inspectors, doctors, medical staff around the cage, those are nothing to do with the promotion. Those are run by the Ontario Athletic Commission. We pay them a fee, an exceptionally large fucking fee, to have these guys officiate your event. They're there to be completely unbiased. We have no relationships with them apart from seeing them at events, shaking hands. But as for like how the fight goes and the whole process is not us. So, anyways, I got this like really nasty email. But I mean, the guy didn't know any better either, right? He just watched one of his family members took a devastating knockout, and the fight probably should have been stopped a little bit quicker after the first. I think he slipped a jab and threw the right hand over top and caught him right on the jaw, wobbled him. He was clearly out, but as he was falling to the ground, he grabbed at Matty's legs, and Matty he sprawled, spun him around, got on top of him, dropped a whole bunch of elbows on his face, and knocked him out. He was pretty much already out from the punch. So, but again, it is a professional sport. Guys recover quick. He shot for his legs after getting wobbled. It's a professional fight. But in the email, the guy was like, "Oh, you make them sign these waivers. You make them, and they don't get paid." Like he almost thought it was an amateur fight. But I'm like, I didn't know how to respond to it. It bothered me because I felt like he didn't understand the dynamics of how everything worked. He thought of it as like, "Oh, what a shitty promotion. It has a one-sided official." Like the officials have nothing to do with it. It's a bad judgment. It has nothing to do with the promotion. It's shitty judges, shitty referee. We've seen them, and referees make mistakes all the time. We see it all the time, right? Like, stepping in between two fighters after a guy drops him with a shot, and then restarting the fight. That shit happens.
And we're not allowed to make fun of Brian Beauchamp, so I'm not going to. Go ahead.
I wasn't examples.
Is what?
You cut out, Alex.
No, I said I wasn't naming names.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, but ultimately, yeah. So the Matt Haskell and Matty Havorka fight, and then after that, Matty was screaming for Junior. I want to fight Junior. I want to fight Junior. And then he had a shoulder injury and he was out. He could never really make it happen. But
yeah, I'd love to have Matty back.
He have surgery?
He had shoulder surgery a while ago.
Yeah.
He messaged me in the last week and he said to me, because he didn't know that all these shows are canceled, right? No one could predict. And he was like, I had more time to let my shoulder heal. But I think he went back to training early to get on one of our shows. So now I think he's recovering from it still. I don't know. But I think he was trying to rush it back just specifically to fight either Junior or somebody.
That'll be interesting. Now this is making me want to, I'm thinking of matchups already.
It's so weird to not even be thinking about fights.
Well, there was a couple other local big fights here. DeFreitas, Chris Allard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That wasn't local, but it was a good fight.
Tony.
Sam Delbacchi, is that he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought him in, right, Alex?
Yeah, he was originally from Ottawa, so I dealt with him when we were trying to do shows there. And then he moved to TriStar, so he's from Montreal. So he was, I mean, it's hard to get 125. But he was tough. I mean, he lasted quite a while. Tony, I think, is on another level.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But Sam gave him a run for his money. Like, he had a really good fight with Louis Jourdain, Charles Jourdain's brother. Ended up being a decision, but it was back and forth, pretty close. And then he beat Tyler Kirk. So he was 1-1, had trouble finding fights. So he was just right away. I told him, Tony, he wanted to make sure he got flown out, certain things like that. But the actual fight itself, he was in from the beginning. Like, he needed some.
He was really tall for 125 too, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony head kicked him, and Tony's not tall.
Yeah.
It was, still remember that finish.
Yeah, that was probably one of our better finishes.
Yeah, actually, Robin Black did a breakdown on it.
Yeah. I mean, Vorka was probably number one.
Yeah. What would you say was the best PFC fight of all time? Old and new.
Could it beat Laramie against Cruz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't even touched base on Laramie signing UFC Contender Series August 11th.
Yeah, that should be good for him.
Dana White's Contender Series.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think it's good for him. Like, he's ready. I think he's more ready now than he would have been if he hadn't lost Alex Morgan, went in 7-0, and just he knows what it means to lose now, and knows it's not the end of the world and how to recover from it.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's better to get those losses.
Have they announced his opponent?
Well, he did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, who's his opponent?
Daniel Swain.
Do you know anything about him?
Seems actually we're just looking at a couple of videos and stuff like that. Another tough guy who's going to come to fight and good on the ground. Very similar to Cruz. So it could be another really exciting fight.
Yeah.
For TJ's sake, hopefully it isn't. Hopefully it's quick and painful for his opponent. But I think it could be really exciting. He's not he's not 5'8", not a big 145er.
Mm-hmm.
So comes from, I mean, not a huge camp from as far as I could tell. I don't know who he's training with, but
what about
it should be a good fight.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. What about you? What's your best fight of PFC history?
My favorite PFC fight? Fuck, there was a ton of them. The TJ Cruz one was probably one of the best ones. It's a 5-round war.
This was PFC.
There was the third one.
Would have been in December last year.
Yeah. Yeah, because we had the charity event.
Andrew Cruz
fought
TJ
Paris Stanford. Yeah. And then, but the Cruz fight. Cruz was just a whole different animal, man. This guy just came to win. There was everything TJ threw, he had an answer back. He was still throwing back. He was still throwing like even TJ said, because I felt like I was hitting with pillows.
Soon as the fight ended, Todd Anderson was the ref. He's done UFC, Bellator.
He said it to me.
Came right up. That's the best fight I've seen this year.
Yeah.
Every show I've done, that's the best fight I've seen.
Yeah. He told me, I walked over to him because I was like, whoa, like, this is crazy. And he's like, Jamie, he goes, I've done UFC and Bellator all year. This was the fight of the year because it was December, right? He goes, this is the fight of the year. He goes, I guarantee you. And he pointed it at TJ and he goes, I guarantee you Bellator is going to call him. Like he was so confident. He does a lot of Bellator. He refs for them, right? So
it's unfortunate. It's good that TJ's getting this shot now, but he would have been on the Saskatoon show if
there was no pandemic.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yes, that was June
20th.
June 20th.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to come to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
My favorite PFC fight of all time, I think that's the best fight still. What were you guys are talking about? My favorite, though, was James and Jesse Gross because I knew the backstory.
Yeah.
In London, the crowd, Jesse came out with a hockey stick and a Canadian flag attached to it running down the aisle.
And you can see him swearing. He was like, if you're not a good lip reader, you knew you could read his lips because he was cussing. He had this Canada flag on a hockey stick, and he was like, "You motherfucker, I'm coming to fucking." Like he was like,
it might not have been the best fight ever for the crowd. It was, but I mean, if I went back and watched it, but that was my favorite. So that's my guess.
Yeah, I want to get Gross back on.
Oh, he's a good storyteller too.
Yeah, I want him fighting again.
Yeah, and Gross is another one of those
I want
guys.
him fighting again. I want to see him active. I want to see him like that last when he fought Armando Gomez. It was
okay. So we went from that PFC in June. Our next show was where? In London, September.
Yeah, that was the charity event.
The next showdown in the downtown.
Mm-hmm. And it was in that, and to see him lose.
So
really,
Alex
really sucked.
Alex found him too, right? Armando Gomes from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yep.
Had the same record as Jesse, like 10-3 or 10-4.
Had a little bit of a layoff.
Long layoff.
Yeah.
And BJJ black belt. Because me and Alex actually called Jesse. We're close with him. He's one of my closest friends. We call him. Okay, we got a guy 5-2, bit of a layoff. Looks like a good fight for you. Or we have this guy 10-4, BJJ black belt. Really tough fight. We think the other one would be better for you, and it works. No, I want the toughest fight you can get me. I'll take that guy. Black belt. Okay, done. Didn't even argue. He's like, I'm fighting him.
Yeah,
toughest.
That's what I love about him. That's like when I talk to him, just his character. He just he don't care, man. And I remember him even back reserve days when he was fighting those
like
times.
Fight-wise.
Fight-wise, he was just. I want to see him go further with it because I think he's the complete package. He can talk, he can fight, he brings it. He don't give a fuck. He goes. You never see him tired. You never see him like he legit. And if he gets stopped, it was fuck. I hate.
He ended up losing by armbar
but like a high level
2.5 minutes
guy. Yeah, it really. I wanted to see him get off. I would have liked to have even if he'd lost, I would have rather have seen him put in 2 or 3 rounds and then say he got caught that way. Then coming off of a layoff, you want to see him at least go out and do a couple rounds. Sometimes you get caught and it sucks. And I hated seeing that because I was like, fuck, man, I'm still a huge fan of him, which is weird because I'm friends with him now, but I'm still I'm more of a fan than a friend to him because I'm like, fuck, I took a picture of him when he had his fighting spirit belt. And
you didn't know him then?
I didn't know him then. I didn't know him at all. I remember seeing him at the fights and I go, hey champ, it was at the Wallaceburg Krabby Joe's, and he was outside the weigh-ins there, and he was outside, and I go, hey champ, can I get a pic? Can I get a pic with you? And he gave me this look like, you fucking making fun of me, and he even told me after, he remembered it because he's sharp. He's like, I thought you were making fun of me, but I'm not making fun of you. You're fucking beating everybody up, you're beating everybody up. So I took a picture with him, and then to see him go, fight in the score, see him fight all these different fights, and then finally getting to have him to fight for you. Twice he got injured, the one time, then he got 2 times, and then to come back off a long layoff. I wanted to see him win. I really, really wanted to see him win. I think he deserves to win. That's why, because I think he's hardworking.
That wasn't the main event, though, or was that?
No, that was
TJ and
Paris Stanford.
Paris.
Yeah.
Not the most entertaining fight in the world, but proved how dominant TJ is because Paris was high level.
I felt really bad for Paris because they wanted him to shave his beard off. He told me because with Ontario rules, you can't have a beard longer than like
Kimbo Slice couldn't fight in Ontario.
No, you couldn't. They would make him shave it because of lacerations or something like that. But he's like, I wouldn't have taken the fight if I was going to shave my beard. I wouldn't. He was arguing with Luke, the commissioner. He's like, you got to shave the beard. You got to trim it down. And thankfully, Luke is not like Hayashi. Hayashi would have made him shave the whole thing bare. He didn't make him shave it bare, but he made him trim it down. He still kept the beard. But it was really, really, really short. And who's another one that had a big giant beard that had to shave? It was Bearded Bites. Why am I forgetting his name? Matt Special. Yeah. So he had that big gigantic beard. I mean, he had a company named Bearded Bites. He's dedicated to the beard, and he had to shave it off. And he was like, fuck, I didn't know I was traumatized. He told me, he's like, I was traumatized. Like, fuck, man, I had this gigantic beard and having to shave it off to fight, which is stupid. And
well, Paris also wanted to go to a separate room to meditate. So
where did you find him? Who found him? Alex, did you find him?
I did.
Where'd you find him? What was his story?
He was, his coach was Santino DeFranco again, so Junior's coach.
Gotcha.
So I just asked him, "You got a 45er for TJ Laramie?" He goes, "I got this guy."
Yeah.
And it just easily done, and he was ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's why I like working with coaches like that. They which fighters will fight, and they actually show up and fight.
But he had to go. He wanted to meditate, so they brought him to a different dressing room, and the commission didn't know where he was, so they flipped out and made him come all the way back during his meditation. That was part of the reason he was all grumpy too. After, I believe, Everybody was yelling with one of the officials.
Lack of communication on our side.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Because I didn't know where he was either, and they're asking me.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so we should have talked to each other. Right?
But
with all these moving parts, it's amazing we can even pull a show off. Sometimes I can't even believe it just because there's so many moving parts.
That show, the second fight. Sorry, Alex. It's hard to. We keep talking over each other. Go ahead, man.
Okay. No, I was saying that was one of the weirdest shows we ever had because we were talking before about all the last minute injuries, changes. I think we had 10 fights on that card for 2 months or for like a month.
Yeah, we didn't lose anything.
That's right. That's the only card in his that we've done together that we booked 10 fights and got 10 fights and nothing changed.
I think we always get pretty close to the amount we book, but they change. This one, nobody got hurt. Nobody pulled out. Because the second fight of the night was two of our most popular guys fought each other early in the night. And when that fight was going on, people were getting escorted out because it was so rowdy. Just the way it was. So they quit selling booze from that second or third fight on.
I don't know why they did that.
It was Chris Lee Byrne versus Scott Lamont.
Yeah.
Both guys were super popular, but they quit selling booze. Because I was on the floor, Dr. Faisal, we had a table. It was a charity event. So our booze was open, but everyone up in the crowd, in the stands, was like, Woody, get me beer, like harassing us. So, what else was on that card?
Michael Imperato.
No. Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. Mike McClune. The return of Mike Imperato.
Yeah.
He won a decision over Mike. Mike beat Mike by decision.
Yeah.
And then Tony Laramie again fought a real veteran, Darren Mima.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He TKO'd him first round or second?
First round.
Second round.
Was it second round?
Yeah.
Jeez. So many fights.
But Mima's been a guy who's been around for a while. I mean, he's not next level, but tough. And Tony just manhandled him. And just to the point where he just lost to a kid who is 20, who looks like he's 15.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Immediately after the fight, he retired.
Yeah, but Tony's a whole new animal.
He's a different animal. Like him and TJ are both excellent, but Tony's a different style, right? He's gonna go in. TJ's gonna go in there and win the fight. Tony's gonna go in there and try to take off your head. There might be a fight that'll hurt him down the line somewhere, but everybody will be excited to see Tony fight every time.
What else? What other fights were on that card? Because something's in my head that I just can't remember.
Joel Paquette.
Yes,
Joel
Joel
Boxwell
from New Era, Crew Jeff's gym.
Yeah.
I thought the fight should have been stopped in the second round. I hit him with a body shot, but it went to a 3-round decision, and it was so cool to see Joel because he had been knocked out his fight before then. It was in the same venue as PFC
1.
PFC 1. And then he came back, fought in the same venue, like
Hector Garcia is who he fought that time.
6 years later, or whatever, and comes back and wins. And it was Joel's a close friend of mine as well, and just seeing him, very awesome.
Yeah, great work ethic.
Looks really good doing it too.
Oh,
yeah, he could do bodybuilding easily.
He's a machine.
No, I don't mean that way. I mean that's right.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, when you look at him, the guy's a fucking specimen.
Like he's another guy that if he didn't lose that fight where he got knocked out, took some time off, has a real job, pays some money, he could have. Who knows what could have happened with him, right?
Yeah.
Like how old is Joel now?
5 or 6 younger, so 34, 33, 34 maybe.
So,
yeah, he's got a full-time job making good money.
Yeah.
MMA is not good money, even at the high level.
That other fight gets to, he's 2-1, takes a couple other fights. Who knows what happens?
Yeah.
He definitely, you've said it in the past, definitely has that high-level skill.
Yeah, really good hands. I think he fought a couple fights maybe he shouldn't have early in his career, a little too quick. Mind you, he'd kick the shit out of those guys in the gym, but it was in front of a crowd, and the guys he had fought had a little bit more experience than he needed, and he was hometown. He's a killer. He's way better. He's 2-2. He's 4-0 to me, right?
He's dynamite in his hands. Yeah. His boxing is really good. His footwork is really good. He's just like, guy. He is a monster.
So that was September. Then we took. Did we go right back to Windsor in December?
December, right away.
And who was that card?
That was the Cruz TJ. Tony was off that one.
Oh, Elias.
The return of Elias.
He wasn't off. But...
Well, we lost his opponent, didn't we?
The day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was supposed to fight Claudio Ledesma, which he fought on.
His grandmother had died, and he was one of the only family members still survived, so he had to take the fight, or he had to cancel the fight. It was the week of, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, really late. Like we couldn't even, especially at 125 at that level, we couldn't find anybody.
Exactly. But Elias fought. What was his opponent's name?
Hernani Perpetua.
Where'd you find him, Alex?
There's manager MTK. They're slowly becoming a lot bigger in Europe, and they brought them together. It's a guy from Brazil, who's I think they manage Darren Till and they manage Tyson Fury.
Oh, okay.
Slowly getting into MMA, and I think they have a bunch of fighters on this on Fight Island. So they're becoming pretty big. So I just spoke to the guy. He said, I have a guy. Like, if you ever want to get fighters last minute and you're willing to pay whatever you need, Brazil is the place to be. Because there's guys who will come and on short notice, but you got to get them all their paperwork done or else forget about it.
We had to get a translator for Hernani's.
Yeah. There's medical.
Yeah.
But we know we have a translator if we ever need it in the future.
Yeah.
But he was tough.
We found someone for
Yeah.
He was the Shudo champ at 170.
He fought in the UFC at one time.
Didn't he fight? Yeah, he lost a split decision to Jordan Mean. He was no joke. And honestly, it was a while since I saw. And maybe he's not like UFC level, but that was the best Elias has looked in a long time.
I think so too.
He just like Elias won fights, whatever. I mean, should he have really gotten cut after one loss? Probably not. But he looked really good in that fight, and it wasn't we gave him a fight, to fight somebody that he could just beat up. Right?
I was nervous about that fight too.
But he didn't. I got to give whether it's his coaches or Elias himself, they just wanted you find me the toughest person you can get on your card. That's what we want.
Yeah,
we don't want a guy who's a journeyman, 18-18 fighter that's that we could just beat up for 3 rounds. We want a real fight.
Yeah. He went back to RG then.
Yeah, and I mean
went back to the basic shit.
Pearson was his main man.
Yeah.
He was with him. I mean, I think he went down to Florida to train. I mean, I've always liked Elias. I mean, I think he gets a hard time, but I mean, if everything works out, I'm sure you guys would think the same. I'd love to have him back, especially on a Toronto event.
Yeah, we talked about that, remember?
Yeah.
Before all this COVID crap.
So that was entertaining. I mean, it was probably hopefully TJ takes over, but it was the biggest name we've ever had on a PFC event.
And Manny and Randy both fought that card too.
Yep. Manny fought Ortega. Freddie, little man.
Oh, he came with Cruz.
Came with Cruz. Last minute fight again, because remember he was supposed to fight somebody else.
Who was he supposed to fight initially?
We tried to match him up. He was actually agreed to fight McAloon at 140, and then it didn't hammer out.
Okay. So I don't
think. Yeah, we didn't have a set fight until, and then he was like, "Hey, I need an opponent," and we were like, "Okay, we'll finalize this guy tonight."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it was fluke because Dara was down there, just met him filming right when you went down and did all the production with Cruz. It turned out he got on the card anyway. We had interviews with him,
which is great. Which is crazy how that worked.
And where was that? Idaho.
Yeah, he just came up to us. He's like, "I can get fights. If you can tell the matchmakers I'm open, just tell them." And I called Jamie and.
Yeah, that's funny. Because I remember Freddie sent me a message on Facebook back in 2013 when we first started the pro stuff. And he's like, and I think he was like 2-0 or something like that. He didn't have any fights. He was like really low, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Little Man Freddy Ortega. I'll do anything, boss. I'll fight. I'll fight this guy." Like he was, but at the time, you're like, I get messages from all over the States and wherever. You can't. I just direct them to you guys. You guys probably, hey man, message my matchmaker, Alex Caporicci, Woodrow James, and message my matchmaker, because I can't keep up with it because there's all these different guys messaging you, and you get a lot of weirdos too that are, hey, I'm a fucking, a 15th degree Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. I had 2,000 street fights. Like you get those, and a lot of the times, like I know what to send to you guys and what.
We're talking pro. As amateurs, you're in.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You're in. Can you sell tickets?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, you're not.
Kind of.
You're not kidding.
Kind of.
It's funny because it's true.
And Randy fought Melissa
Carrianis.
And that was
an exciting fight.
Great fight.
Yeah, I missed that fight.
Some questionable decision making and throughout the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not that fight, but with the Ortega and Manny fight, it was a lot closer than I think anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
Condi Potato Goose was a good fight.
Great fight, yeah.
Condi
won that fight, but I think as the fight ended, Potato Goose was on top hitting him. Or maybe it was the end of the second round. It was so close to going the other way. Great fight.
Yeah, you could almost have given Joe a 10-8 in the last round. I thought for sure, hopefully I'm remembering correctly, but I thought for sure he lost the first 2 rounds, but I thought Joe could have, he dominated the third round. But that's the way judging goes, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Pride where you have to judge the whole fight on a whole. That might have gone the other way.
True. Matt Dawson fought one of my buddies, Dylan LaCroix.
Yeah.
That was early in the card. Matt's a ton of amateur fights with us and just will fight anybody any given day. He's got a bright future. Dylan's super tough too. He just got overwhelmed that night. But Matt he's got that potential down the road, right? When he gets his head on straight and he fights, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see his next matchup. If you give him a nice, really tough test, he's 2-0. I'd like to see him fight a guy who's at least 2-0, same type of record, 2 wins, and see how he handles himself. I'm confident. He fought so many amateur fights, wins and losses, but all that experience is helping him up too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chris Allard fought Jack Junkin.
Zach Junkin.
Yeah. Chris Allard was coming off that loss with us against DeFreitas the last time we were in Windsor, and then he came and took this one and won. And Junkin's tough as hell too. He's got some crazy hands in him, but he got caught. And
let's see,
Flick.
Justin Taverne against Jamie Flick.
Yeah, Justin Taverne and Jamie Flick.
Megan Owen, Ashley Letourneau.
That's right.
That's it. That's the card.
Yeah, being back in Windsor, it's definitely a hotbed. Those 2 shows we did in Windsor, the crowd loved it.
Yeah.
We didn't really mention him, but Reno Belcastro, he's a coach at MTC, did so much legwork, always helps out with the matchmaking.
Mm-hmm. He was the other part of the phone calls. So I had 2 matchmakers in Reno at the time, and we all spoke to each other on a daily basis. Because it was in Windsor. Windsor is Reno's town. Period.
Yeah.
You don't go
Reno,
around it. Reno runs Windsor.
When you guys were talking about how we got Alex out of retirement, previous to that, I was in Windsor before this show, and I was there for a hockey tournament. Me and him went to a bar, had beers, and we started doing all this on a napkin, all this matchmaking, and then Alex came down a month later, and that's when you guys took him to the venue. But me and Al, we were already talking on the phone that day with all of us. But I have a napkin with all the budget from whatever random bar that Reno brought me to in Windsor. So that was June, and then our last show was March 8th.
No, we did December, and then we went back into the next calendar year for March, which was the Toronto show, which was
Rebel Nightclub.
Beautiful. I think that was probably my favorite venue. That's a toss-up between that and Budweiser Gardens. Only reason, just because Budweiser Gardens had just the bowl. I would do Budweiser Gardens completely different. If it wasn't a charity event, it was just Budweiser Gardens, I would do theater style.
Like put an 8 or
curtain across. And just cut it and just do 2,000 2,000 seats on
Instead
a
of
corner bowl.
6,500.
Yeah, because then you can play with pipe and drape and stuff like that, but it's not the same. You want this when it's more quiet, more quaint and compact. And
I like the curtain,
small.
like the blue line where it's got just half a.
Yeah. You could do your walkouts from the blue line. Right?
True, yep.
So you make that whole wall, you put a big, flat screens, and then you build your entrance, and then they would walk across the ice on the other side of the black curtain, come up through the thing, and then spit down into like a little half arena. I wish I could build my own fucking venue.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Would you ever do a show with no crowd?
We talked about this. Remember when as soon as the COVID stuff and we explored it, but the math, it just couldn't work. We don't make money on shows where we sell tickets with the crowd.
Because of nothing going on, could we sell even more pay-per-views?
I don't know.
No.
It's hard
I don't
to
think
say.
so.
Plus fighters getting licensed, plus guys being
Medicals.
training. Like the new protocols for gyms opening up suck. Like who is it? How hard is it to be put in work? I feel for these I feel for the professional fighters who are sitting on the sidelines waiting for something to happen, and it doesn't happen because it doesn't happen not because they're not training, but they're not putting the full fight camps that they should be. I mean, at least everybody in limbo. This whole thing just fucked everything. It's the virus.
Like especially the guys you got to look at, like a Tony Laramie, who's on like a bit of at least TJ's getting a fight, right?
Yeah.
Luckily he's in the East, but Tony was on his way up, so that momentum is kind of stalled. Michael Imperato is winning a couple fights. He's not the youngest guy now. He can't wait forever.
Mm-hmm.
Now what does he do? Like he still has the dream of getting to the UFC. Taking a year off doesn't help, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Zachary Powell had momentum going. Claudia Baril, who knows? With women fighter, you fight 3-4 wins in a row, all of a sudden you're in it.
Well, we saw that with Randa.
Yeah. All these guys, Joe Tipping, Joe Marchand. He's not young, so he wants to get some fights in, right?
I have a question for you guys. Yeah. TJ goes to the UFC. Who's the next top 145er?
We don't have it. It's not a huge division.
Who would be next? Who's the next? Who takes that spot?
Putting us on the spot, but Junior would be up there. Was he? He fought at 45, but he's really a 35er.
30. I think 35 could be a really good division for us.
For sure, because we have Imperato,
Junior. Matteo Vogel talked about coming over.
Yeah.
There's so many guys up and coming that right now we're just teasing ourselves right now because there's no fights. We can't put them on.
It's hard to.
Right now, if you're going to put a card together, well, unfortunately, there's guys that are licensed still this year. If something came up, say December, you're allowed to do a show. You'd have to fight guys that are pure local that are already licensed, and there's not many.
No, and getting people into the country would be a problem too.
So when we were at Rebel, the main event was Claudio Ledesma versus Tony, and that's the one we were talking about where Claudio's grandma had passed away. So we made up for it in this fight. And Claudio had been in Bellator, big shows, journeyman, but not even a journeyman, tons of fights. And big age gap. And he came down and fought Tony, and that was a war. That proved Tony is on another level. Just the style he fights, right? What'd you think?
Claudio's record was 16-8. Tony was 4-2.
Jeez. And how old would Claudio be, do you think?
Claudio, I'm assuming
such a good guy, too.
37 years old.
37 against, what, 20? Jeez.
21, maybe?
And then co-main event was George Brito. Came out of retirement for one more fight and wasn't his way that night. He ran into Lloyd
Galindo.
Yeah, Alex, you got him? Or how did you connect with him?
Somebody I've known for a while, but I got him through Jamie McGowan, who has a gym in Montreal, originally from Windsor, I think.
Yep.
But he has some guys that want to fight. He was ready right away. He wants to fight. It's always just, you need those guys that are game to fight. They don't care who the opponent is. They just want to. And he showed that has a lot of talent.
That gash in his head, man, in Brito's head was.
I felt bad for Brito, but
yeah.
George is like the nicest guy. Imperato fought.
Yeah.
What was his opponent's name?
Matthew Skibicki.
Yep, tough kid.
Yep. And Prado looked great in that fight too.
It was so cool to see Mike afterwards with his kid in his arms in his hometown cheering. Mike gets a bad rap because of his past. I've got nothing but good things to say about it.
I became a fan.
Yeah, like
right from the start. He was like super easy to work with. We must have just lost Alex.
Yeah. Go on.
And he was super easy to work with, man. He was like, everything he said he was going to do, he was going to do. We're just going to call Alex back right now and get him back on the line.
Hello?
Sorry, we lost you there. It's 4:30.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was just saying about Imperato, how he was just super easy to deal with. He was very, everything he said he was going to do, he did. Everything, like he actually was the one that got my foot into the door at Rebel Nightclub. So he made the introductions. He's like, hey, this guy owns this. You know, Mike's a bit of a playboy where he just out on boats all the time. So he kind of knew that whole area, knows the entertainment district. He knows like he was the guy. He wasn't my Reno to say, because Reno brought so much to the table, but he sold a fuckload of tickets. He's a big following in Toronto. So many people wanted to see him fight at hometown. And originally he was gonna fight. They were going to do a show at Rebel Nightclub, and it got canceled. That didn't work out. So he was a part of that. Was it XFCC or XFFC or and it didn't happen. But so he was kind of like the push on that venue, and then the venue was fucking beautiful. It's probably my favorite. If I had to say, that was probably my favorite venue, for sure. Just the way I like the change rooms. I like the Toronto skyline.
It definitely was different. I mean,
yeah, I would do it again. I would do multiple shows there.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, go on.
Like that, this show is probably most fresh in our mind. What do you think was your biggest disappointment, Woody? Let's see if we agree on this.
My biggest disappointment?
Yeah.
Why are you bringing up personal things, Alex?
No. Okay, let's see if you agree with me. Not being able to see Banny versus Zamro.
Oh yeah, Amir Bani and Amro Falastini.
That would have been
I think that would have been a dynamite fight.
Amro Al Falastini could be the next big thing.
Yeah,
he's high level, shitty luck. Fights get canceled. Bad. Oh, that guy could be our next star. As our amateur, we did a kickboxing show, PFC.
Yeah,
and he was our champion. Did he beat Havorka?
Yep,
I think he beat Matty Havorka, and it was
took him to a decision.
What a war. He's one of Jeff Jocelyn's prodigies and well-rounded. So, yeah, that was a big one. But I'm not Saeed. I will never, ever work with this guy again. You guys can have a different opinion. He showed up with no medicals. We had to fly him to Toronto. Oh, he didn't have medicals. Oh, they need him? I forget how it went, but it was something of that nature.
It was a bit of a disaster, and I was really looking forward to it.
He's a nice enough guy.
Sure, he was.
Need somebody to hold his hand throughout the whole process.
I met our new friend Micah Brakefield.
Yeah,
that was his coach, and we hung out with him all weekend. He's like, man, I'm sorry, I just got roped into coming down here. Now I'm gonna
go away from everything just to hang out in Toronto for 3-4 days. Like they were trying to go back home, but I just couldn't find a flight. It was way too expensive.
And this was when all the coronavirus stuff was going around, because I think Alex, it was the reason why it spread from Montreal to Toronto.
Yeah, because
well, this was March 8th, a Sunday. By that next Friday, that bar was closed down.
Everything was closed.
Everything was closed.
We were the last thing. Like one more week, we wouldn't have been able to run our show. What a disaster that would have been.
Yeah. How do you
Especially
explain that?
Back, do you remember the crowd? They were one on top of each other because everybody sitting on the seats started going towards the bar, right?
Yeah. They all squished together.
People deep, squished in together, back to back, or whatever. That just wouldn't be allowed, and I don't know when it's going to be allowed.
Yeah, we could. I love that sports are possibly coming back. Football, hockey. Let's hope.
Yeah, we all get really good at PlayStation.
We can dream about MMA all we want.
Champion 187 Warzone. Add me. Keeping us busy. I'm just kidding.
What game's that? You play video games, Jamie? Aren't you a little too old for that stuff?
No.
Me and Alex have a MLB The Show 20 addiction. So
yeah, this podcast is stopping me from playing.
Hey, we'll let you go because we're gonna wrap this up anyways because we've been kind of.
Okay, I just want to make one more comment about that before you cut me off.
Sorry.
Is
My
the
bad.
one thing I liked about the show, and it sucks that we can't build off it, is we're seeing the next wave of guys fighters coming in, like the next guys who could headline an event.
Yeah, agreed.
No, I mean, not we could disagree on this, but nobody expected Zachary Powell to dominate Adam DeFreitas as much as he did.
Mm-hmm.
So is he a legit next level guy? Fuck, I'd like to know the answer as soon as possible.
I'd love to see him and Justin Condi.
Yeah.
Claudia Baril.
Same thing.
Like I think she has that it factor, and I don't even know if she realizes it yet. So it'd be nice to see her.
She 2-0, or was that just 1-0?
1-0. She never fought even one MMA fight as an amateur.
She was kickboxer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She just messaged me the other day.
Her has that. So what'll ultimately happen is she'll, once they start MMA in Quebec, she'll become like a flagship for one of their shows. Hopefully she could go back and forth, but she's another potential star. Bobby Poulter.
Yes, Bobby Poulter has skill. I remember him as an amateur. That I was harassing us to get him on this card. Not that we wouldn't anyway, but Bobby, I'd watch him as an amateur. He's got the next big.
Yeah, young, fresh, strong. Just have his
great team behind him.
Yeah, 100%.
We got Dankos, who knows where he can go.
Yeah, he signed with Lethway though, I think.
Yeah, but it allows him still to do it.
That's cool. I'd definitely have him back too. He's super
Joe
easy.
Tipping.
Yeah, another great guy. There's so many
momentum coming. Like, let's see how can these guys get. Who's the next TJ? Who's Tony's up there already. Mm-hmm. We know what he brings, but who's those next guys? That's what it gets me excited about shows. And we had that. We were setting that all up, to have a big year this year, and then COVID messed everything up. But it is what it is.
But it's not the end. I'm confident. I think once everything smooths over, we're back at this. Gives us a little bit. Rest was good because we did 4 shows, like bang, 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 just so fast, so close together. So the break at first was really nice. I got to do a lot of things at home and catch up on the things that I was missing along the way. But I'm ready to get back at it, man. I miss it. I miss the calls every day. I miss, getting everything ready. The stress, the weekend build up. I miss it all. So I'm just, it'd be cool to get back to work, do what we love to do.
All right, Alex, I can see Dara telling us to hang up the phone with you.
Yeah,
he's like, hurry up.
Yeah, we're gonna cut this close. Alex,
see you, buddy.
Talk too much. Okay.
Thanks again, bro.
Okay,
talk to you,
man.
Soon. Bye. Wicked.
James, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man. Woody, thank you. I appreciate you coming down.
This new studio you have, man, is awesome. I'm loving this. You can't really see it in the video, obviously, but it's a big difference.
Yeah, I'm super happy with the new studio. We have a couple
I love this
guests
building.
coming up. It's a great spot.
I love this building.
Shout out to Rycor Countertops, Justin Arsenal, my main man, who graciously hooked us up with this studio and has been one of my best buddies, man, just helping us out along the way. So I'm super appreciative of that. And
I feel like you tell everyone you're your best buddies because you tell me that too.
You are my best buddy.
Okay.
I have a ton of best buddies. You can have a ton of best buddies. You're supposed to, not just one. You guys, everyone fulfills a different part of me. But anyways, thank you, and talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, bud.
Adios.